Here we go.
My name is Jason Clark from GA Food Technical Services, and today we're going to do some training on the sewage ejector. We're going to start with the mechanical system, actually open up the pit, have a look inside, see everything that's involved mechanically, and then we're going to look at the electrical control system as well. Alright, so let's start with the simple stuff. So, obviously, you have your pit, nice and clean. First things first, self-explanatory, your two pumps. Just to go through it, your pumps are on what's called a guide rail system. So the guide rail system means, quite simply, the pump is just sitting there and being held by the weight of the pump against the discharge elbow. So if you ever need to service these pumps, they can be pulled up without having to actually dismantle anything or jump into the pit.
Oh, okay.
Just kiss pull up. Now they're pretty big pumps, so I got this. The chain there, the lifting chain is there provided to give you a hand, but you're probably going to need a chain ring or a chain block, something to pull those up. But if you ever need to drop them back down again, you got a full pit, or there's an issue, these guide rails will take the pump the whole way down and just sit back into place again. You just got to sort of jiggle it a little bit to get it actually to sit here. So that's why I just want to run through those. As well as that, you also have your primary control is actually this blue wire. The blue cable going down is actually attached to the bottom end. It looks like almost like a giant bullet. It's a transducer.
Okay.
And the level transducer, how that operates is it just compares atmospheric pressure with a breathing tube to the weight of the water on top of it. So that's what's actually going to give you, and then translates that side to a digital signal, and that's what actually gives you your on-screen display of level.
The transducer is the one that gives the information.
Yes. So the transducer is your primary control. If for some reason you lose your transducer or your PLC or your screen, which we'll get into a little bit more later, you have a backup flow as well. And the backup flow quite literally is just tipped, it runs, when it drops, it shuts off. It operates on a separate circuit as a backup circuit, so it actually overrides the primary circuit. So that's why we have to set it a little bit higher. All right. So obviously, then away from that, you mean your self-explanatory, your discharge elbow, and you're into your discharge. If you look in the water, you can see there's like a little additional piece on this pump.
Yes.
That's a mixed flush valve. So what happens with that pump is when it runs for a couple of seconds, it's about, normally they're set around 20 seconds, 10, 20 seconds. It'll just churn the water in the pit. And then it closes. It's a mechanical system, it's not electrical, it just closes. It just basically seals with a ball, and then it starts discharging. So that's just in case the pit's been sitting for a long period of time and gets like hardened, crusty layer on top, it just breaks it up. That's what it's for. And obviously you got your motor leads tied up here. Now for purposes of servicing, that's what we're going to next thing. Well, actually we'll start with this. So the pipes are going to come up into both your check valves. So you've got two ball check valves here, one for each pump, and you've got two isolation valves also. You just colors for the handles. You can take those off whenever you want. And then your discharge Y is where we combine. You have a drain down line if you need to do any work. That's just in case you're trying to do any work above. When you're up, you can drain whatever's sitting in this pipe. Because obviously right now you've got waste or water sitting to there. So you can at least drain to there and do any work you need to do there. That's the purpose of this. You can pipe that down, you can leave it as it is, it's not a problem. So it's just in this case, you left it as it is. Electrically, for the purposes of service and maintenance, we've given you what's referred to as a double junction box. So double junction box, the first box is quite literally just like a pull box. We leave a couple of extra wraps in there, then for service maintenance and cutting wires back, service loops, that's it. That gets sealed up. The second box is actually where everything comes in. So as you can see, these are both your pump motor leads. So they're actually landed right here. So it means if you need to service a pump or take the pump out, you only have to disconnect the gear and pull the wires back here locally, as opposed to trying to pull the wires the whole way back from this panel. That's part of the reason this double junction box exists. The one wire that you'll see that doesn't splice here is your transducer. That's home run to the panel. So that's just because when you splice that, it starts to get interference in the signal. So it's shielded. Correct. It's shielded and everything else. Your float is also spliced here as well. So if you ever get a bad float or anything, it's the same thing. You change the other way. Chances are you're not going to have any issues with the float or transducer. You're just going to search your pumps and something. One thing with your pumps though is, so if something goes wrong with the pump, obviously, you know, in the case of only under warranty, they'll be looked at by us and we'll investigate. The one thing we don't do though is we got to pull the pump off and get overloads. We'll go through that when we do the controls. If it's clogged, we don't clean the pump. That's your responsibility. So it's our responsibility to do the issue with the actual equipment, but surgery equipment that you don't have.
Thanks a lot.
Which happens a lot, yeah, exactly, it does happen a lot, and that is... Alright, so that's just with a quick rundown.
Use the clipboard
That's
back,
basically
feel free.
mechanical stuff.
Want to use the clipboard for that? You did last year for the sign.
That would be Mr. Dennis.
What waste do we get here? That's just the bathrooms in the first floor?
The bathrooms on the first floor. This pool right here. This floor's right here. A few local floor joints.
That's it, none. So we're not gonna get hammered.
So it's actually nearly soft water, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's nearly lined water, it's not.
it's one waste.
There is one waste line?
One waste, one bathroom.
So it's a combination, so you will get some waste in there. One bathroom's not bad, but probably won't be too heavy in regards to having it lifted and cleaned.
I clean a big one.
Yeah, they're not fun. Maintenance on these, which will run on the screen as well, is every 1,500 run hours, we recommend that you actually take the ride and get it done. It'll actually tell you on the screen you get 1,500 run hours. Now, so 1,500 run hours, depending on how much they operate. When they run, they're only running for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes at a time. So, but it needs to be 1,500 run hours. So it's not, it's quite a long time. It's normally, I mean, you want to say it's maybe normally a year or two. When we say that you need to get them serviced, not that you should. It's up to you if you want to have any setups where you want to service them on a yearly basis or get them looked at and cleaned or checked. It's up to you regarding that. There is requirements for the pumps as well as being there when I say like you should do this, you should do this by this time, and that's why we get 1,500. 1,500 hours is like it's every 4 years or 1,500 hours of manual service that you need for the bike to be serviced. So I would actually send you a factory.
So you could service one at a time and
Yeah, of
one
course.
will
Yeah.
maintain it
Yeah.
running.
One, I mean, you've got a setup where you have a backup. Normally the system should run with just one.
So it's always gonna run one.
Exactly. You're only going to see two run if your level continues to increase and you hit that.
Like when they
second
empty
one.
the pool maybe.
Yeah, if they empty the pool, you probably overwhelm them a little bit, enough for the second one. You overwhelm one anyway. The other thing is if you trip the backup float, you start operating on backup. The backup operates both at the same time. But I mean, it doesn't, like it will operate, if you only have one, it will operate one, yes. The backup float will operate both at the same time. I mean, mechanically, that's really that's your installation. Do you have any questions about that, or anything you want to run through?
No, it's pretty
It's pretty self-explanatory. There's not a lot to it. Electrically then, so I'll look at this. So as I said, the double junction box is where you have everything spliced up. I'll close all the stuff when we're done with training. So right now, obviously this all continues to the control panel. So normally, you're not going to need to go inside this control panel. All right, I'm going to show you inside. I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown just so you know what is actually inside. You can come stand over here if you want. Easy, get it. Just move this out of the way. Help us
We're recording, we could go.
So we'll run through this. So basically, we'll start with the easy stuff on the outside. This is the stuff you're going to actually deal with. You're not going to have to open it up, and I'm going to explain like what everything is inside. So. In fact, you know what, I'll show you right now. So these are just your circuit breakers. So this is pump 1 and pump 2. So obviously you kill this, you kill the power from here down. Now, that's the reason I want to do this, is because even when you shut these off, you're still live or hot up here.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to break that is you actually go to your circuit breaker, your electrical switchboard, and isolate it there. So, but this is good enough if you need to do any maintenance work on the pumps or anything else. You can close these, and you can actually padlock them out as well. So you can lock a tag out right here locally if you need to. Alright? So while we're doing that, let's just open this up. So we'll go through the whole thing before you come in. So the power is coming down through into here. We have a couple of taps. Your actual incoming power from the building is going through here, landing here, goes up to the top and splits.
Okay.
But you have a couple of tap power supplies that actually go and feed the control circuit with the transformers as well. Like I said, you're not going to be in here, but I just want to give you an understanding of what you're looking at. The one thing that is worth noting as well, when you press these buttons, you're actually resetting your thermal overloads. So that's like I was saying earlier on, if you get the pumps clogged up, you're going to trip your thermal overloads. And once you clean the pump and get it all ready, you're going to have to actually reset it. You'll get the alarm on screen, but that's what that reset key's doing. It's just literally pressing that thermal overload reset. That's it. When the pumps are running, these are your contactors. So they just pull in, and power goes to the pump. That's it. And that's your, like I said, it goes through the thermal overload. Control-wise, you've got a couple of transformers that drop the voltage down to control circuit level, 120 and 24 volt. You have got motor savers. So the reason they're there, and you will get faults on the screen if they trip, they are monitoring your incoming power. So if someone in the building changes your rotation, right now it might be ABC or CBA, I'm not sure, it can be either or, but if someone switches that, these are both fault, unlock out, and give you an alarm here, because the pumps could technically be running backwards. So we don't want the alarm to do that. That's why they're set up to do that. Other thing they're monitoring is fuse failure. So if you lose one of your 3 legs, that's incoming power. It's also the same thing, you're going to have that too. And then other than that, they're monitoring under voltage and over voltage. So if for some reason you're a drop, you know, exactly, you get a spike or you get a drop, they're going to alarm as well. There's a range on them. They're about 10%, 15% trip. In fact, sorry, this one's a little bit lower. They're only at 5-6% trip. They will automatically reset once the fault is corrected. Okay? So it's not like you have to get in here and actually look at it. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to need to be inside the panel. I'm just telling you what is going on.
Okay.
Meggers, every time you try to run these pumps, or they try to run in auto, you try to run them in hand, it's going to slide to left. What's going to happen is you're going to, they megger the motor lead. So the lead from here all the way into the pump. When they megger, what they're doing is they're putting 500 volts DC down the electrical cabling, and they're expecting it to connect back. If there's any short in the grind, so there's a nick in the wire and it's discharging into the pit, that'll fault and lock you out.
Okay.
That's
So it's DC current?
So it's DC current, 500 volts DC, and it's going to do that every single time the pump runs.
Okay.
That's 1 or 2. So every time you have a pump running, that's what you're getting. And the reason that happens is, like I said, we don't want to grind out somewhere. These pumps are submerged in water. If there's something that's short, or there's a nick in the wire, so that's part of the reason why we do it. So that's the other safety you have. Other than that, you've got some fuses in here. As you can see, all your fuse buses, you'll get a light, you get a light on the pops, and then you have a couple of little control circuits. That's the main range, your PLC, and that's your premium machine interface, or HMI. That's what you're touching. Everything you play with here, it's input stored in here.
Just fuses for it.
That fuses for there, and then sometimes...
We have a test for the test button for the fuses.
These are fuses, these are
The relays.
no, that's
Okay.
basically, if you have a fault, these are the same issues in the system, but there's a backup circuit set up.
I've worked with something like this before, and what went the first time was the transformer. How difficult it is to use transformer?
No, they're just telling me the common transformers you can pick up. Everything here is pretty common stuff, like any relays and else. The only thing that might be obviously comes up with PLC. You still, it'd probably be quicker going through us because we have the panel and know what we're talking about, but it is something that I think will pick up with this stuff. And the other thing is like I said, anyway, this is your control circuit, so as long as you have 2 separate circuits in the system. You've got one that goes, basically powers the PLC, and there's a couple of relays involved, and that's what runs from the transducer. Then you have a second relay logic system, which is just off of relays, and that runs out of flow. So you have 2 separate systems in case you lose the PLC or you lose something on that side, you have on the other side. That's why it currently operates. So you do actually have a PLC installed. Alright, so let's just look at the main one. I mean, I'm not going to ask you any questions on that because you're not going to be doing that. Alright, so simple stuff. In front of the screen, right now I'm logged in, that's where you're getting the red lights. So we'll run through everything. Your pump run indicator lights, self-explanatory, goes green when the pump's running. HOA, your hand-off auto. They obviously need to be left in auto if you want it to run in auto. If you're in a dire need for some reason, you've lost screen, you've lost everything else, or you need to pump it down lower than the normal stop point, you can run it in hand. But give it a few seconds, it'll go blue and it'll actually do the megger. That's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And it will run.
It won't just instantly switch. That
No,
megger
because
was the
it's
one.
meggering it first. So it's about 30 seconds. There you go. So as long as everything comes back, then you're fine. The other thing I was going to say to you, which you just saw, is you're going to get an alarm every time you change the HOA switch from auto. So anytime anything is changed from the current situation you're in right now, it will give you an alarm. If it's switching the HOA, turning power off.
Local alarm or it goes to the
I'm not
BMS,
sure. Are you
or-
monitoring these with the BMS or not?
No?
I don't believe so, no.
It's all local.
Local.
And it's all local. The insulation fault is what I was talking about earlier on. So that's if the megger fails. So if for some reason you do grind out in the water, whatever, there's a nick cable somewhere, you'll get a yellow light, or sorry, red light on the insulation fault, and the pump will not run. Okay, that will lock you out because it's saying that it's potentially grounded out somewhere.
That
It can happen.
specific pump, but the other one
Yes,
will keep on.
exactly. So that's why you have one for each pump, and they're both with separate negatives, they're both with separate circuits. And the good old silence button. So anytime you get any alarms that, you know, if, for example, if you know you're leaving your system in the off position, it probably won't do it right now because I've already silenced it. But if you were leaving it in the off position, you knew you were doing service work or anything else, and you could just silence the alarm, do your work, and then put it back in and clear it. Now, one thing I will say to you is if you're obviously doing any service work with that particular pump, you're pulling one. Putting the HOA in the off position is great, but also kill the power to that one pump. It's not going to do any harm. It's better safe than sorry, because, you know, if someone does, for instance, put this back in auto and it's duty cycle, so they're just running based on the last one that ran. So if pump number 1 ran and you get pump number 2 out of the pit, and the next call on a water level will be pump number 2 that runs. So your best bet is if you leave it off up here, it won't run. Because it faults the pump with a phase failure. It goes red. So the pump is locked out. Now, like I said, you're not getting the audibles because I've already silenced it and everything else has been playing. But that means that it's only going to prioritize this pump.
And there's no alarm if we leave it off for a long extended time.
If you leave it off for a long period of time, when you turn it back on again, you're going to get a power restored alarm. That's it. You're not going to get an alarm when it's off. Okay.
So we better remember it.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's the thing is though, when you're running the systems, you're going to notice. Other than that, the screen itself, most of it is actually behind passwords because it's all programmed and it's all factory programmed. Realistically, the only stuff you're really looking for is your on screen. You have your temperature on the left and you have your level on the right. Okay, so your level's at the top and your temperature at the top. You also have the display just telling you roughly the height of the pit and the actual maximum that you can see the temperature and stuff. I have the password in right now, so I can sort of, do I? No, I don't, because I cycle power. So what you're going to see then, if you have any active alarms, they're going to come up on this screen. You got to press it the second time though to get the active. So the first time you have any alarms is going to be your event history. That's just what has happened. Anything in red.
So I have to press the code before I can see that.
No, you don't have to press anything. That's what I'm saying. You don't need the code for any of this stuff.
Okay.
You have everything you have access to right now. Your bells, your alarms. That's for putting in the codes. That padlock, which, like I said, it's all factory stuff. You don't need anything in there. And the home screen just brings you back here if you go into anything. The PID and those, they're all blacked out. And then if you have any questions about the status of the system, you have actually a question mark will tell you blue is not in screen control, which just means you're not in HOA. For example, if I press that, it'll go yellow. Yellow is standby, green is run, red is full. But what I was saying to you is if you have any alarms, you just press the alarm bell. It's going to give you, so that's your event history, which we keep 30 days event history. If you hit it again, that's your active alarm. So like I said earlier on, your HOA switch, if it's not in auto, will give you an alarm. You put it back in auto, it clears the alarm. Thank you. If you have an alarm, you're going to get what's called a critical alarm on the screen. Everything is a critical alarm. Switching the switch, turning power off, they're all going to come up as critical alarms. So for argument's sake, if you kill what I've centered on power restored, you give it a few seconds when it's turned back on again. You can hit your alarms, we're going to silence that. It'll load up, you're going to get a critical alarm on the screen. Just double tap acknowledge, and it'll bring you back to the home screen, and then hit the alarm bell. Go to active events to see what's actually what is in the alarm. Okay. Because everything is classified as a critical alarm, which to this day I don't know why they did that in the program, and it should just say alarm. But because when everybody sees critical, they're like, what's wrong with
critical alarm?
So once you restart it, it won't be that won't be listed as an active alarm.
No, it won't be.
So that should be cleared out.
Yeah, there you go.
Critical alarm.
So there's your critical alarm. So if you acknowledge that, you also have our service number.
Double click.
Yep. There's your event history. So it's telling you what actually happened, but if you click the bell second time, you actually have no active events.
Oh, okay.
So if you have a critical alarm screen come up, there you go, there's a power restore. That's what I was talking about before. So when you cycle power, you're going to get a power restore alarm to say that someone turned the power off. So you can go into your history, and there you go. You can see that we turned the power off at 9:15 on the 22nd of June.
So the green line reconciles the red line,
Correct.
essentially.
So green is saying it's whatever the issue is
Restored.
corrected. Red is saying it's faulted. Yep. So what I was saying earlier on is when you get that critical alarm, for example, with something like power restored, so if you turn power off, you'll click on this, give it a few seconds, you'll see power restored come on, and it'll go away. As long as you don't have an alarm on the active events, then you're not in alarm, so you can just clear it. Because what happens is sometimes somebody will turn, not necessarily not at this point in the game, but like during construction, the guys will turn off the power because they're doing work on the lines, turn it back on again, and there's a critical alarm. Nobody acknowledges it. Somebody comes down a month later, clicks it, and is like, oh, there's a problem. And then goes to the active, and I was like, no, go to the active events. There's not. Someone just cycled power. And if you scroll through the event history, I'm sure you'll find it. We just gotta look for it. All right. And as I said, if you have any problems or you've had an issue like phase failures when I killed one of these pumps, there is a list of everything that has happened with the system, so you can go back through it. Other than that, have you any questions with the system or not? That's really the trend on it. I mean,
Got any questions? Any questions?